Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing the first installment of my post-apocalyptic Disney series. I'm starting with Elsa, so if you'd like to see how I do this, just keep on watching. So going in with the Profusion Brow Palette, I took a combination of medium brown and ash brown, and I used that to fill in my eyebrows. I made sure to keep my eyebrows pretty thin instead of making them a little thicker like I normally do, just because, you know, if you look at reference photos of like animated cartoon characters, they tend to have thinner eyebrows. And then I wanted them just a tad lighter, so I went in with the Essence Ready Set Peach Contour Palette, and I took that center shade, and I'm just using that and tapping it over the brow powder, and then it just lightened it just a little, and I was okay with it, yeah. Then I went to the Profusion Wanderlust palette, taking this pinky purpley tone shade, and I'm using that to run into my crease. The eye look that I do in this is very similar to the look I did using this palette before. It's on my channel. If you want to see a more in-depth tutorial of this eye look, you could just go watch that there. And then I'm also just sweeping some of that color on my lower lash line. And then I took this more cool toned purple, and I'm using that first, putting it into my crease, and then I do end up patting this all over my lid, and I do run it on my lower lash line as well. On Friday, I'm going to have my cream and liquid eyeshadow collection video up. I don't think I'm going to do a voiceover. I'm just going to have pop-ups on the screen of what the names and brands of them are as I do product, like show the product and then do swatches of them. And then next Tuesday, I'm going to be doing my post-apocalyptic Disney Anna look that I have already filmed. And then that following Friday, I have a like super intense grungy look that I already have recorded. And then that following week, I'll probably have another one of my post-apocalyptic Disney looks up. I'm not sure. I think I might be doing Kita. I haven't filmed it yet, and then I'll have a regular makeup tutorial that following Friday after that. I just picked up the Profusion Festival palette, so if you'd like to see me do a tutorial with that, let me know, and I will have that up that Friday after I post the third look in this series. And then next I'm going in with this shimmer shade. It's kind of like a duochrome. It's like purple, but then like slightly pink, and then like almost like, I don't know, yeah, like a purple pink duochrome type color. And I just patted that all over the center of my lid with my finger. And then I went into the LA Girl Glide Gel Liner, and this is their black shade, and I'm just using that on my waterline. Then for mascara, I went in with the Essence Slash Princess Mascara, and I coated my top and lower lashes.
Are you hypnotizing me?
I did decide to use bronzer, so I went in with the BH Cosmetics bronzer in the shade Tranquil Tan, and I'm just going to be well, using that to bronze up my cheeks.
Like the victim of a love potion. Are you hypnotizing me? Like the victim of a love potion.
Then I went into the contour palette from Essence that I used before, taking the contour shade, and I'm using that to carve out my cheekbones and my jawline.
Are you hypnotizing me? Like the victim of a love potion.
And then for blush, I went in with the Wet n Wild Color Icon blush in the shade Fantastic Plastic Pink. Just using that to give a little more color to my face. And then I started laying liquid latex down in the pattern that I want the burn. I don't know if I mentioned that before. She's actually in the post-apocalyptic scenario that I put her in was like a drought wildfire type scenario. So I thought I would give her burn for that. And I'm just patting down liquid latex all over my face where I want the burn to be. If you have never used liquid latex before, do a patch test to make sure you have no odd or bad reactions to it, because you don't want to like slap that right on your face and all of a sudden you get like a huge rash. But yeah, I'm just patting that where I want it to be, and then I do build it up a little more in the center so it's not too thin because I will be pulling it up later, and I didn't want it to just rip where I didn't want it to rip, if that makes any sense. And I did drag it down to my neck as well. And then after it was all dried, I did powder it because it stays fairly tacky if you don't. I'm just using the Coty Airspun powder in the shade, I think this is it's either their translucent one or their naturally natural one. I just always alternate between those two. And then just using my finger, I am lifting up parts of the liquid latex, creating little holes and dragging it all around to kind of look like the skin is peeling back. Because I was looking at reference photos of burns, and I mean, I don't think I have the talent to do it super hyper realistic, so I just went with like a really charred looking burn. And I was just looking at reference photos, and I figured that this might be the easiest way for me to do so. And then just to mention, let's see, I have Anna, and she's going to be in the post-apocalyptic scenario of Ice Age, kind of, because of Elsa. So she'll have like related makeup to that. Kita will have makeup related to Atlantis being submerged in water. I have a Toy Story Jessie look that I want to do in this series, and that's going to be more like a war against humans and toys. Let's see, who else do I have? I don't know, I can't think of off the top of my head. Oh yes, a Snow White, like a infectious disease, and so on and so forth. I think I have a total of 10 looks I'm going to be doing in this series. Although for my Kita look, I do not own a white wig, and I don't think I'm going to be picking one up before I end up doing the look. So it's just going to be like a gray and pink one, so it's just going to have to work.
Are you hypnotizing me?
And then I went into the CC Beauty Cream Paint palette, and I'm mixing that peachy and that red shade together. And I'm just using that and tapping it all around the liquid latex that I laid down. And then I'm just blending it out with my finger just to kind of mimic skin irritation around the burn. went back in with just the red and I put it even closer to the liquid latex and then blended out into the faded color that I have out, so it looks more intense the closer you get to the wound. And then I'm just taking the black from that same palette and I'm laying it directly on the liquid latex areas, like all around the circle areas, all where it's raised and pulled back, because that is where the charred flesh was pulled back, if that makes any sense. So I wanted that obviously to be black. And then I'm going in with some of that brown shade, and I'm using that to help blend in the black into that red, because I felt like it was just way too harsh and didn't look like all that great. If you see me talking, it's probably because I'm talking to one of my kids.
Are you hypnotizing me? Like the victim of a love potion. Are you hypnotizing me? Like the victim of a love potion. Are you hypnotizing me? Like the victim of a love potion.
And then since this is a cream paint, I'm just using a translucent powder to set all of that into place. But then I do go back in with more cream paint and then I don't set that. So I mean, if you want it to stay more in place, then make sure you set it completely. And then I did wipe off all the excess with just a stippling brush. And then I went back in with that black to intensify it closest to where the open wounds are going to be. And then I'm just taking that red shade and I'm filling in all of those open wounds with red, because in all the reference photos, whether it be makeup or like photos of real burns, you know, skin underneath your skin is going to be a lot more red than the surface of your skin. And then I just took a tad of that black and I'm going underneath the liquid latex and putting the black and then dragging it into the red, so it kind of almost creates like a shadowed effect. So it's not just one solid shade of red, if that makes sense. And for some reason, I forgot to film my lips, but on my lips, I used the Wet n Wild Liquid Catsuit Lipstick, and I do believe I used the shade Oh My Dolly. And I just applied like a thin amount and then kind of like patted it out with my fingers so it wasn't quite intense, because that is a really intense shade, but I didn't want it to be crazy intense. And I forgot to film an outro too, so I just duplicated my intro for my outro. So that's pretty much the end of this video. So if you like it, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you aren't already, or if you want to, and I'll see you in the next one.